What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today's video, the first video of the day, started late. It's all good. We're here. We're all here. Today's video, I want to go back to kind of the old school stuff for this channel. It's not necessarily a video based on prison, but it's about my life, and the majority of my life was I was incarcerated somewhere, somehow, right? I want to do a video looking back on my life as a gangster. And we got to go back to the beginning. We're going to talk about a life as a gangster, a life of a gangster, right? It's important that we realize, we acknowledge, and we differentiate the difference between a gangbanger and a gangster. Very important. And that's kind of like where we're going to go with this video. So as a little kid, there was two things I wanted to be. One was a gangster. The other was a Marine. I wasn't able to be a Marine. I was born into criminality. I was born into violence. I used violence and criminality to get my way for the vast majority of my life. As a kid, I thought I was a gangster. I wasn't. I was just a gang member. I was just a little gangbanger. I had no direction. As far as my criminality had zero direction. You know, when they enacted the 186.22B and 186.22A and whatever else, the Step Back, the Street Terrorism Act in California. And it's, you know, one of the things is committing crimes for the furtherance of your gang, right? The reality is that gangbangers are just selfish. They just do whatever they want. But they're from a gang, but the law, you know, is written to where everything they do it to benefit the gang. They don't think like that. They're kids. They're troubled kids seeking attention, seeking love. And they do what they do in the hopes that somebody will think they're worthy a lot of times, right? So, you know, I did the juvenile hall thing. Then I did the group home thing. Nothing major. Then I went to the Then I went to camp. And I'm thinking I'm doing something, right? I wasn't. Then I went to the California Youth Authority. Thought I was a gangster. No. I was still just a gangbanger. I was a gangbanger with the ego way too big. Like most of us that got out of YA. The California Youth Authority developed an ego in those that were its graduates. YA babies were a definite threat to everything, pretty much. They were willing to go there. We were willing to go there once we got out, and most of us did. So 5 months after my release from the California Youth Authority, after doing 3 years, I caught a murder, and I went away for decades. That is the time when I began my journey as a gangster. See, because then you're amongst men. You're amongst real gangsters. When you hit the California Department of Corrections, it's a whole different ballgame. Your outlook, your understanding of criminality, the focus of your criminality becomes different. So I was in there in the California Department of Corrections, and I was doing the things I sought out. Gangsters. I wanted to be schooled by them. I wanted to know the right way to do things. I did that in YA too. The homies that had been down for 4 or 5 years, they're the ones I gravitated towards. because I wanted to know. It's just something about me that I've always wanted knowledge. Whatever I'm going to be a part of. I was just talking to Gunner actually yesterday, and we're talking about how there's a lot of dudes that gangbang. They don't even know the history of their neighborhood. They don't care. Whereas myself, I know a lot of history of my neighborhood specifically, but other gangs in Santa Barbara. It's important to me to know what's going on, what it started as, why it started, all that, right? Now, getting to the California Department of Corrections, you really, if you're with the Southerners, Southern Raza, and you go into the California Department of Corrections, politicking is a choice. Politics dictate everything you do, but getting involved in politics is a choice. See, there's so many Southerners, and the thing that they choose to involve themselves in is so dangerous and time consuming that it isn't, nobody comes to you, like you have dudes like Wes, well, you're gonna have to join it. No. That's bullshit. They don't come recruiting. It's not a car club. It's not the Boy Scouts. You know who's doing what. It's very easy to see. When you hit a yard, when you hit a level 4 yard, it's very easy to see who the main hitters are, who the politicians are, the way they dress, the way they conduct themselves, the way they speak. Very, very professional. They're not frivolous with their words. They understand that they are a representation of something bigger. Then you got the regular dudes, the Southsiders that, they're there. Same thing, very professional, but they're probably playing handball or basketball or, they're with a different crowd. The dudes doing things, they're always huddled up. There's always that next thing in motion. And so you go in there and you take part in the reindeer games, right? You play chess with other human beings' lives. So when I look back at this whole journey, I realize that it's just a path of destruction. It's a path of loneliness. A gangster can't trust nobody. Not even his closest ally. Today's friend can become tomorrow's enemy. That's the game. There's a lot of people that there's even vatos that have been to a level 4. But they never had those conversations with those people. In-depth conversations to get a real understanding of what is expected, what the goals are. And so those guys run around with this whole false image. And I trip out on being in how people can be in certain places and still be naive. And, pass on those same ideals and ideas, right? That lifestyle is very, very lonely again, I'll say. It's very cutthroat. It's so much more gratifying to remain on the streets. It's so much more gratifying to, if you have a disagreement with a loved one, to iron that out and stay in that person's life. Not do something like you're really going to show them and go and commit a crime and go do time. You didn't show nobody nothing other than that you're an idiot. The life of a gangster is no fun. I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I will always say it. Those dudes in there, those gangsters that people look up to, they won't admit it. They wish they could have that opportunity to be out here. They don't want their own kids following in their footsteps. They would love to be walking side by their kids out here. But they made decisions as a kid, like we all do, that are not the best. Unfortunately, theirs were worse. Their decisions were worse. They didn't get that second chance. They would love it, but they didn't get it. So I just wanted to give you guys just my 2 cents on that. There's a lot of things I could say, but I'm very guarded on that. I really respect the dedication that it takes for people to do what they do in there. I'm not a part of that world. I'm part of this world out here. But I know very well what it takes. I know the sacrifices that are being made. I know that some aren't sacrificing as much as others. And I know the politicking never stops. And it gets very ugly, very fast, very brutal, very fast. And you don't want to be there. Those of you that are out here, even if you've been in and you got out and you got to check, hey, Holmes, your family is a blessing that you should really, really acknowledge and want to do for. Because when you go back to prison, you're nothing but a burden on them. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.